I have gotten so many requests to put the cognitive triangle on this page, and that makes me happy. That means that my clients are listening and that something is helping. So I am happy to share this with you. Please share it to anybody that you think would benefit from it. And so this is the cognitive triangle. It's found most commonly in the cognitive behavioral therapeutic approach. Um, and the idea is that we are created with an interplay of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And they're all separate, but they're all connected. And so there's congruence between our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, which is sameness. If you think back to geometry class, congruent shapes, a congruent triangle is congruent because it has the same length of sides. Of course, mine's not very congruent. And a congruent square, also same length. And so, for whatever reason, our brain chooses to use thoughts as the driver for congruence. And so, if you have, forgive my phantom board that keeps opening, if you have negative, unhealthy thoughts, it will prompt negative, unhealthy feelings, and in turn, maladaptive and unhealthy behaviors. And likewise, if you have positive, healthy thoughts, then feelings and behaviors follow suit. And so I always use the same example for everyone. If this resonates with you, awesome. If it doesn't, I encourage you to apply this to your life in whatever way is applicable. And as always, feel free to private message me or comment on here and ask me anything that you'd like. So let's start with a woman that believes that she's ugly. So I am ugly. No one likes me. I should just die. And how does she feel as a result of those thoughts? Well, she definitely feels depressed and suicidal and unattractive and unconfident. Probably a little bit worthless too. And so what does she do? Well, someone who believes that they're ugly doesn't need to put effort into themselves, because why? And so she dresses down, doesn't put any effort into her appearance. She doesn't make eye contact because she's not confident. She doesn't wear makeup or jewelry, because why? She socially isolates because she believes people don't want to be around her. And worse, she sabotages her interpersonal relationships, which I'm going to make IPR here. A 4-year-old drew this Ninja Turtle. Amazing. So I always keep it on this board. So maybe you'll see it in videos to come. And so it's just a perpetual cycle. I think this way, I feel this way, and so I act this way, which reinforces how I think, feel, and behave. And so I ask people before I go through this process, what do you think would help this woman? What would you tell this woman if you were treating her? How would you fix her? Which one would you focus on? And a lot of people say thoughts. Well, help her to think more than just looks. Help her to see that she's got other qualities that make her attractive, or other qualities that make her fun to be around, or something like that. The problem is that she really believes she's ugly, and she might actually be really ugly, but that's her presenting concern. And so it wouldn't be good therapy for me to have someone come in and tell me their presenting problem is that they believe they're ugly and they have distress related to it, and for me to say, yeah, that's cool. Let's not focus on the fact that you feel ugly. Let's focus on all of these other great skills that you can acquire. So we want to make sure that we're attending to what the client's presenting with. And feelings are a byproduct of our thoughts. The only thing that we can actually control is behavior. Behavior is the only thing that we can do despite motivation and despite our feelings about it. I could not like you at all, but I could still be very kind to you. I could not be feeling patient driving and still avoid honking my horn or tailgating someone. I could not feel like getting up for an appointment that I have and still hear my alarm and get out of bed. And so behavior is the only thing that we can override, even though we don't feel like it. And so don't forget, the brain is smart, but it's not that smart. The brain's oriented toward congruence. And so if we've got this cycle of negative, 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 and then we throw in some positive here with the stuff we can actually control, now we're going positive, 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 to the point where eventually the thoughts are naturally positive as well, and that person can kind of go back on autopilot. So what would we do with this woman? Well, she dresses down, so we would encourage her that she needs to dress up, dress as if you were confident, dress as if you were pleased with how you looked and you believed that people wanted to be around you. I would do a bunch of proxemics and kinesics with her. And so proper eye contact, and we'd role play a bunch of times and really just practice looking at one another, and posture, holding your shoulders back, confidence, the way to angle, how far apart to stand from people. And I should probably say like postural skills. I would encourage her to wear as much makeup and jewelry as she would if she believed she were confident. This isn't me trying to impose, hey, makeup and jewelry makes you beautiful, but I would kind of meet her where she is, and do you believe that you would want to do these things if you were confident and liked? In terms of social isolation, I would tell her that she needs to be social like 3 times a week or something. That's a lot at first. Sometimes you might want to start with 1. And just that in general, she's not allowed to sabotage interpersonal relationships. I'm going to have her probably journal about how she wishes she could cut someone off or whatever, but actually display the behavior of wanting to engage with people that she's afraid will reject her. And so what do you think is going to happen to this woman? Well, if she's dressing up and making eye contact and wearing makeup and jewelry, so she goes into work and she goes from being that very meek girl that doesn't make any eye contact and is really shy and doesn't talk to anyone, to all of a sudden coming in and being like, hey Bob, good morning, how are you? And she's done up and she's smiling and she's at the right angle and distance from you, then Bob's going to be like, wow, Katie, there's something different about you. Like, this is cool. Let's talk. And then she engages with more coworkers. And before you know it, 2 things could happen, actually. It could be, even though I am ugly, people like me. Or it could be, I'm not that ugly after all. And so now she shouldn't just die because she's got that social acceptance and her distress is minimized. So what happens to her feelings? Well, instead of being depressed, she might be hopeful. And maybe she has reduced suicidality. I can't assume that someone's just all of a sudden never going to think about not wanting to live again after so many seasons of just kind of drilling it in their heads that that's a way of escape. But we'll say not suicidal or less suicidal. She might feel attractive and confident and worth something. And so because she feels so much better about this, it makes it so much easier to engage in these behaviors. And then it's natural for her to keep thinking that she's doing a good job, that she either is ugly but people like her despite it, or maybe she's not that ugly after all, and then she keeps feeling good. I don't want to discount the fact that this step and changing the behavior is so hard for clients. Can you imagine what Katie must have been feeling going from someone who just kind of stayed to herself and really truly believed that no one liked her or wanted to be around her and thought she was just this hideous creature, to me encouraging her to make eye contact with the very people that she believes reject her and to put makeup on. And can you imagine the very first time that she walked into the office with this dress on and this makeup? It would almost be like imagining like a a pig walking in with a dress and lipstick, and people thinking that that was the normal way for a pig to look. And so she probably walked into work feeling pre-humiliated by the rejection she anticipated getting. How much she must have feared, and maybe afraid could have been another feeling, but how much she must have feared, what if this doesn't work? What if I'm making a fool out of myself? Which could have very well exacerbated those thoughts about dying and those feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness and a lack of sense of belonging. But for Katie, it was successful, and now we've got this good positive cycle again, and she is content and without distress. So please let me know what you think, if that was helpful, and I am going to put a picture of this as well up just so that you can see the override there. Really fun to make your own triangle and just kind of evaluate what negative thoughts you have and how that might be impacting your feelings and your behaviors, and then see if there's any of those behaviors that you're willing to change. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.